So welcome back. If you've not watched the part 1 of this tutorial, you can just check the channel, it has been uploaded. This is the part 2 of this lesson. So we already created the background for this design on the part 1. So you just want to check the channel, you'll find it there. So we are just going to continue from where we stopped in the last class. In this class, we are going to be finishing up the design on PixelLab. So you know how we do it. We create background on PicsArt, then we finish it up on PixelLab. So I'm just going to import the background we just finished creating on PicsArt, then we finish up the design. To go to relative size, increase the size, and then you have it like that. I'm just going to lock up this layer, hit OK. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to go bring in the image I'm going to be using. This is the main image we'll be using, so I'm going to import it, hit OK. Increase the size a little bit, increase the size. So once you increase the size like that, you want to create multiple copies so that you can restore the quality of the image. So I'm just going to place it somewhere. I'll increase the size again. I think I want it bigger, something like this. Then I'll create copies as well again. Then I delete, position it somewhere here. So I'll lock it up. Let me go import the design so that I have a reference. This is the original design so that we can just follow what we did there. So I'll hide it. This is what we have. The next thing I want to do is to erase the unwanted part of this design. With the middle icon selected, you just want to hover around like that, your down button, until you find the erase tool. So you find the erase tool here. So select your eraser. Then you can increase it to maximum, then increase this as well. This is the size of the brush, maybe just somewhere here. Then I'll make it blur. This is the blur radius. You just have something like that. So I'll just use this to just erase some of the unwanted parts. Erase like that. Then I'll hit OK once I'm satisfied. So the layer is already locked. So the next thing, I'm going to go bring in the other image. Hit OK. This one is going to be somewhere here. Let me take down the size. This will be somewhere here. Place it here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to, if you notice the original design there, I have some white shadow here. So I'm just going to go create some white shadow. To do that, select your shape tool, increase the radius, take down the opacity, go down to stroke, increase the stroke width, not all the way. Then we'll go down, increase the blur radius, then you squeeze it like that from the edge until it closes. Then you hit OK. Then you increase the size. When you increase the size, go to your color, select color, enable color, then make it white. So you have something like this. So you can just use this to fade that, create a white shadow around that part. So I'm going to just create multiple. So I'll just create a copy, place it there, create another copy, place it there, create another copy, place it there, like that, until I have that white stuff there. But let me hide all of this. I already have that here created. So I'm just going to enable that and bring it up. That was how I created this. So you have that white feeling like that. Okay, let me bring up this image as well. So the shadow is now above it. So you understand. So you have something like this. Then the next thing you want to do is to write the name of the couples. I already wrote the name of the couples, so I'm just going to bring them up, enable this, bring it up, enable this, bring it up. So I don't want to be typing, that's why I already have them typed. I believe you know how to type. If you don't know how to type, check my previous tutorials in the channel. You find all of the procedures there. Then the font I use here, let me show you the font I used here. The font I use here is normal regular. This is it, normal regular. So maybe I'm going to add the fonts to the resources pack, so you don't have to go through the stress of downloading. So you just select normal and then give it a red color. So just give it a red color. Then you create the same thing for this Margaret, and let Margaret be black. Then the next thing, then you just write all of the text like that, and you bring in this and as well, give it a red color. Then the next thing you want to do is to write just a small text. I have this small text I wrote down here. Congratulations on your wedding, wishing you both a beautiful beginning, filled with love, joy, peace. Just create a write-up, you can use your own words to just create something small, not too much. The font for that one is Poppins. The font I use here is Poppins. Let me show you. I think I use Poppins and Poppins regular. So use Poppins regular. It's okay. So that is for that. So the next thing you want to write is the date of the wedding. So I have the date written here. I use the same font I use for the name of the couples to write the date. So you can just, that same normal regular, use it to write the date, 2nd of August 2027. Then I created a text box for it. How to do that is to select your shape, take down the opacity, no, not, take, just, give it a little bit of radius, take down the opacity completely. Okay, let's leave it first. Just shape it like this. Use your hand to shape it like that until it fits the size you want. Let's give it a color so that we can see. So you just have something like this. Let me take down the radius a little bit. So you don't want too much of radius. Want something like this. So the size to your desired position. Then you take down the opacity completely, and then give the stroke 1. Give the stroke width 1, and then this color for the stroke should be black. Give it black. Select black, and then hit OK. You should be having something like this. So you can then place your date in it like that. Alright, so you just place it in it like that. Lock all of this, guys. So I want to move this up a little bit. So you take your time to just set it like that until you have what you want. So next thing you want to bring in is this guy. The next thing you want to bring in is this guy, this wedding ring. It's a wedding design, so you want to give it that wedding vibe. You just place it somewhere here. You want to take it behind the shadow. Just go to your layer panel. Once you select that layer you want to work on like this, you just long press on it from the edge. Let me show you. Long press on it from this edge like this. So, and then you drag it down and let it be behind this shadow. Do you understand? Then move it down like that. It just gets that it just has that wedding vibe like that. I just want to lock it up. So I'll lock it. The next thing I'm going to be bringing in is this red fabric. You get all of that in the resource pack. So I'll bring this red fabric, just rotate it. Let me bring in the original design so I remember how I placed it. So I want it to be somewhere here. Let me increase this. I just want it to be somewhere here like this. Just place it there like that. Create a copy of it. Bring it somewhere here. Bring it somewhere here. Then go to your layer panel and do the same thing. Squeeze it from the edge like that and drag it. Let it go behind that flower. Just put it somewhere behind that flower like that. You can now move it as you wish. The idea is that I just want it to protrude somewhere here, like you find it somewhere there. That's just where I just want it to just protrude somewhere there like that, just to add a little bit of beauty to the entire thing. I think this is basically all we did on this design. That's basically all we did. We are good to go. So the next thing you want to do is to go to your, when you export it, then you now go to your Adobe Lightroom, then you do some retouching on it on Adobe Lightroom. Maybe we'll do another video on that. This is like I just said, this is the part 2 of this video. In the part 2 of the video, we're now going to be learning how to create the next. On the part 2, we're going to be learning how to create the next background. Let me show you. Let me export this first. To export, select these two 3 dots there. Select export, select PNG, select ultra, and then save. In the next video, I'm going to be teaching you how to create this other background. So you realize that the idea is almost the same, but then the background for this one is different. I think this one look a little bit much more beautiful. So we're going to be learning how to create this one in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.